Hi everybody, this is Gatsad. Returned earlier this afternoon from teaching a course, Understanding Our Consuming Instinct. Feeling quite tired, but I feel compelled to open the camera and speak to you because the lunacy is truly nonstop. Simply unbelievable what is taking place in the world. And in this case, I'm going to be talking about, of course, the ecosystem in which I reside, namely academia. I will share two stories uh, that are not specific to me, and then one personal story that just took place. So let me begin with Christine Fair, who is a professor at Georgetown University. She tweeted, "Look at thus," I think she meant this. "Look at this chorus of entitled white men justifying a serial rapist's arrogated entitlement. All of them deserve miserable deaths, while feminists laugh as they take their last gasps. Bonus. We castrate their corpses and feed them to swine? Question mark. And then she answers yes. So this is a person who writes as a tweet to castrate, kill these entitled white men and then feed their bodies to swine. By the way, of course, she was kind enough and tolerant enough and merciful enough to suggest that they be castrated only after they had died. So at least you can say that she is a uh, gentle feminist. But in any case, this is perfectly fine. So she can tweet this stuff. I mean, Roseanne Barr can make an idiotic joke about some politician that is considered so unbearably racist that she loses her job. A top-rated show that was making huge amounts of money for ABC, I believe, she loses that job because of one tweet that's substantially less offensive than this one, which calls for the killing of white men, castrating them after they're dead, and feeding their bodies to animals. Now, you might say, oh, well, she was being hyperbolic, she was being facetious. A lot of people have gotten into huge amounts of trouble for a lot less. But this professor is targeting white men, which is, of course, is open season, and therefore she's fine, she's safe. On the other hand, Alessandro Strumia, who is a physicist from University of Pisa, and he's also working associated at CERN, the nuclear research center outside Geneva, gave a lecture. I haven't watched the lecture, although I did download the notes or the slides from from his lecture, which I'm sure will one day be expunged from all official records. I think actually CERN has deleted the slides from their website. He was giving a talk on sex differences within the physics discipline. I'm not exactly sure what his focus was, but it was something to the effect of, is there a bias against women or is there a bias against men? And then he used bibliometric data, which is very rigorous data, bibliometric data, to make certain points and arrive at certain conclusions that were apparently non-PC. And because of that, he was suspended from CERN, and I think there is some new downstream punishments that are coming his way. I reached out as soon as I heard about this dreadful reality. I reached out to Professor Strumia. He wrote back, and we're hopefully going to set up a chat on my show. Now, imagine in one case, a professor writes a tweet suggesting that these entitled white men should be killed, should be castrated, and their bodies should be fed to animals. She's good. Another professor, a physicist, shares, and the reason why I point to him being a physicist is because it demonstrates that this cancer has entered arenas where you typically wouldn't have thought it might enter, physics. And he shared some very rigorous data. And again, you can go to the relevant BBC article that broke the story and go to the link where you can download his notes and his slides. And you'll see that it's a very sober and serious analysis. Again, I haven't gone through it carefully, but the way that you might challenge him is you might offer countering data. You might critique the way he analyzed his data. In other words, you use the autocorrective process of science and the scientific method and all of the tools that come along with the scientific method to demonstrate that if he's wrong, how and why he's wrong. But you certainly don't suspend him for offering a position based on an analysis. But of course you do if the analysis that he came up with and the conclusions that he arrived at are making people feel unsafe. I think he basically concluded that men were more discriminated against in physics than were women. So those are the two stories. I wanted to juxtapose these two realities. One woman calls for white genocide. The other one shares bibliometric data that is somewhat leading to a non-PC conclusion. One gets suspended. The other one is still moseying along at Georgetown University. And so these are the stories that are not directly relevant. I mean, not relevant, but personal to me. But then, coincidentally, I opened my email, since we're talking about identity politics and so on. I opened my emails and found an email from a person, a professor, who was writing to me. I won't read the individual's email, but I'll summarize it for you, but I'll read you my response. Where the individual in question says that she can't make it to the symposium on evolutionary consumption that I'm hosting this Friday. She thinks it's an interesting symposium, but she couldn't help but notice that there was only one female speaker and many more male speakers, and she is sure that this is an oversight and that moving forward I should look to redress this reality. This is happening in the 21st century. So I wrote back to her. You tell me if I was too gentle or too tough. I won't read her name. Many thanks for your email. I am sorry that you won't be able to make it. As to your point, I do not subscribe to identity politics and certainly not in science. If the symposium at hand necessitated that most speakers be women, so be it. If in this case the number of male to female speakers is not, quote, balanced, so be it. I did invite another female speaker, but she was unavailable. I did not choose my speakers as a function of whether they ovulate or not. I chose them based on their fit with the topic at hand, their availability, etc. The US government released data across 5 races and 4 educational attainment levels, associate's degree, bachelor's degree, master's, and doctorate. As such, there were 20 cells to analyze. In every single cell, women outnumbered men. Are you going to push for greater gender parity across the cells? Because it is difficult to imagine a more, quote, biased reality. So I shared with her data, which I've previously covered as a SAAD TRUTH clip, showing that across every possible race and every possible educational level, women outnumber men in US schools. So you couldn't have more gender imbalance, but opposite to what this particular person is concerned about. But in this case, I guess she won't be too concerned. But she was very concerned that my symposium did not have the right amount of gender parity. Then I wrote, I should add that we do not know whether any of the male speakers self-identify as women. So perhaps the gender parity is more balanced than might at first appear. In any case, thank you for writing in. I hope that we'll have a chance to interact again. Warmly, GS. So this is what we've arrived at. Instead of a colleague saying, wow, thank you for putting together this symposium that took quite a bit of effort and time to put together, after advising me that she can't make it, she moves into identity politics overdrive. And by the way, why stop at gender parity? How do we truly know whether the speakers who are there cover the whole spectrum of body types? Maybe everyone there is pretty thin, and maybe we need more body types. Maybe we need more sexual orientation. I mean, if all the people who are there are heterosexual in their orientation, that's not right. What if they're all cisgendered? I mean, when is this lunacy going to end? I mean, in the context of academia, where everything should be determined based on the veracity of your ideas and independently of your identity, we've sunk to levels that no one could have. I mean, I don't think Orwell could have imagined this. I don't think Kafka could have imagined this. I don't imagine Gulag 13 could envision such a reality where I actually have to be engaging someone on this matter. By the way, someone, I won't say who it is, sent me a photo. This is on this individual's website of all the members of her lab in 2013. I think there was the professor and there were, I think, 9 other lab members. Do you want to guess what the ratio was of men to women? 10 women, 0 men. I mean, is it possible to imagine this level of hypocrisy? So a person writes to me telling me that there aren't enough female speakers at a scientific symposium that I went through great effort to put together, where I did invite another woman who unfortunately couldn't make it. That person who levies that concern at me and hopes that I will redress this oversight had a lab recently made up of 10 women and 0 men. Have a good day, everybody.